We are in the fifth phase of the project integration management. That is, we are in the fifth process stage known as the perform integrated change control. We know that change is inevitable. That is, it can happen anytime or anywhere during the phases of a project. So when a change happens, we know that it is documented before applying to a project. In this chapter, we will be studying all the factors that influence the change control. What is perform integrated change control? The perform integrated change control is a process of reviewing all change requests, approving changes and managing changes to deliverables, organizational process assets, project documents, and the project management plan, and communicating their disposition. The project integrated change control reviews all the requirements for changes to project documents, deliverables, and project baselines. A change in a project may be requested by any stakeholder within the project. Although changes can be initiated verbally, but the best practice that applies here is that a change should be recorded in a written form and entered appropriately in the change management system. Every change has to be approved or rejected by the project manager or the project sponsor. The key benefit of the perform integrated change control is that it allows documented changes within the project to be considered in an integrated fashion while reducing project risk. The project integrated change control includes a change control board, which is also known as the CCB. The change control board is a formally authorized group for reviewing, evaluating, approving, or rejecting the changes to a project. The process flow diagram. Here we will discuss all the inputs that are required in the perform integrated change control process, the tools and techniques that are applied here on the inputs, and the outputs that are derived during this process. The perform integrated change control is conducted from project inception to completion and is the ultimate responsibility of the project manager to undertake this process. Configuration control versus change control. We classify this into two here. The first one is the configuration control that specifies both the deliverables and the processes that are involved in the project, and the second one, change control, that is responsible for identifying, documenting, approving, or rejecting the changes to the project documents. So what are the activities that are involved in the configuration management? The first one, configuration identification. The configuration identification process identifies and selects a configuration item and records their functional and physical characteristics in the technical documentation. The second one, configuration status accounting. The configuration status accounting has a record of the approved configuration documents and reports as to when appropriate data about the configuration item should be provided. And the third activity, that is the configuration verification and audit. The configuration verification and configuration audit ensures that the composition of the project's configuration item is correct and that the corresponding changes are registered, assessed, approved, and correctly implemented. So let's come in understanding the various inputs in the perform integrated change control process. The first one, project management plan. The first subheading under the project management plan is the scope management plan that contains procedures for scope changes. The second one, scope baseline that provides product definitions. And the third one, change management plan that provides direction for managing the change control plan. As you can see here, the project management plan not only serves as an input to this process, that is the perform integrated change control, but to other processes that we discussed in our earlier chapters. The second input that we are going to discuss is the work performance reports. The work performance reports of particular interest to the perform integrated change control process include resource availability, schedule and cost data, and earned value management reports, burn up or burn down charts. The earned value management which you see here is also known as the EVPM, that is the earned value performance management. The earned value management is basically a project management technique for measuring the performance and growth of the project. The third input, that is the change request. The change request input includes corrective actions, preventive actions, and defect repairs. We studied change requests in our earlier chapter 2, where we discussed the corrective action, preventive and defect repairs. The fourth input, enterprise environmental factors. The factors that affect the performance integrated change control process are the project management information system. The project management information system here includes a scheduling software tool, a configuration management system, an information collection and distribution system, or web interfaces to other online automated systems. The fifth input, that is the organizational process assets. The factors that influence the perform integrated change control process are the change control procedures, procedures for approving and issuing change authorizations, project documentation, and configuration management knowledge base. We now come to the tools and techniques that act on the inputs in the perform integrated change control process. The first tool and technique is the expert judgment. As discussed earlier too, an expert judgment is always provided by a specialized body of knowledge that has complete understanding of the functional and technical aspects of a project. So why is expert judgment used? It is used to assess the inputs needed to direct and manage execution of the project management plan. The stakeholders involved in the project may be asked to provide their expertise. The judgment and expertise are applied to any technical and management details during this process. The second tooling technique is the meetings. In this context of the perform integrated change control, meetings are also known as change control meetings. The reason being that meetings in this phase are held to discuss the change control activities. The Change Control Board is responsible for meeting and reviewing the change requests, approving or rejecting. The Change Control Board may also review configuration management activities. The roles and responsibilities of the Change Control Board are clearly defined and agreed upon by the stakeholders of the project and documented. The third tool and technique is the change control tools. To facilitate change control, manual or automated tools used for configuration and change management are implemented. The change control tools are used to manage the change requests and the resulting decision. The tools that are selected in this process are basically selected based on the needs of the project stakeholders. Outputs. We are now in the final stage of the perform integrated change control process. So what are the outputs in this process? The first one, approved change requests. The approved change requests are processed according to the change control system and it's implemented through the direct and managed project phases. It can be approved by a project manager, the change control board, or any assigned team member. The second output, that is the change log. In the change log, the changes and impact are reported to the stakeholders in how they will affect the time and cost of the project. So why is change log used here? It is used to document changes that occur during a project. Rejected change requests are also captured in the change log. The third output, project management plan updates. The project management plan updates that may be affected are any subsidiary plans or detail level plans, and baselines that are subject to the formal change control process. The fourth output, that is the project document updates. The project document updates are updated as a result of the perform integrated change control process and include all documents specified as being subject to the project's formal change control process.